Hi there, this is a quick and unplanned video because it seems I bought a small Dremel which is actually used and I thought it's new. Yeah, that's what happens when you buy something that does not have its picture. It only has, I don't know, the generic picture of the particular tool. I didn't even think to ask. Anyway, hopefully it's in good shape. I don't really care if anything here is chipped or stuff because I have all of these things, but the tool itself I want it to be working good and not have too much wobble or vibrations or who the hell knows what, or any other issues. Hopefully it's all good, but yeah, let's open it up and see. Zip tie opened up, so let's see what the hell did I get myself into, because I normally don't buy second-hand tools, as you never know how they were used and they could be just a total piece of crap. And yeah, I bought the wrong tool. Damn it! I wanted to buy the little tiny 4 volt version of this, not the 12 volt one. Ah, crap. So it's not even the nice professional 12 volt where you can actually unplug the battery. It's just the standard 12 volt with the battery built into it. It's not extremely bad. I had no idea this one charges by USB, so when I saw USB cables I was 100% sure it's the tiny one. Nope, as you can see. So yeah, there's that. I didn't really see much use, I think, this tool from what I can see here, but still annoys the hell out of me. This, what is this? I think it's the spindle lock, or how it's called. Yeah, that is it. This can be taken off, yes, to add an extension to it. I do have an extension from another mains powered tool. Yeah, not that happy with what I did here. I did a boo-boo. I wasn't careful and just jumped right into it. Anyway, it is what it is. Doesn't even work, does it? Oh. Seems to be working. So my decision is now the following. Am I going to use this one, and if I feel it's too big, I'm going to also need to buy the smaller one. Damn it, I wasn't planning on this, but at least from what I can see here, this does not seem to have too much vibration. So let's see what size we have for this thing. For example, this is too big. So let's change the... Is it a chuck on this sort of tool? Oh. What? This does not compute. So they actually both sold it with the wrong chucks in here. Or it's this one, but you need to kind of jam it in there. Yeah, it's that one. Okay, not a tragedy. Let me see how much vibration it has. I'm going to leave this just a bit longer to see the vibration at the end of it. My mains powered one that is 15 years old, if not more, has a bit of vibration and it's becoming annoying. Do we have the... we have something. Doesn't even go in place. We don't even have the key for this. What the hell did I buy? Okay, note to myself, do not freaking buy stuff like this unless it's new or unless you can actually see it live somewhere. Do we have the key underneath here? Not the key, but a bunch of other. Doesn't this come out? Yeah, a bunch of other stuff. Oh, and maybe this was the proper chuck for this thing. Could be. So maybe I forced it in a smaller one. Okay, it does have all of the bits. It was used a little bit, but not a lot. So it's not a heavily used tool, but I wasn't planning on buying a second-hand thing. Let's see. So to power it on, it's not just a quick tap, you need to hold it. And only then it powers on. And this is not flickering for me. It's only flickering on video. Wait, what? Are you kidding me? Oh, I might know what's happening here. So you long press it, you select your speed, and only then when you press again it will start. Let me change the speed. Doesn't seem to have wobble. No, this is freaking steady. Or at least mostly steady. Okay. Doesn't make the nicest noise. You can hear it working. Something is vibrating in there. I might need to open it up to see what's happening. But yeah, it's a working tool. I would have wished it a bit smaller. But then again, maybe in the future I will also get the smaller one and finally end up with what I actually wanted from the start, not the 12 volt version of things, the 4 volt one. I don't think it was opened from what I can see on the screws. Yeah, just somebody bought it, they haven't used it much and they decided to sell it further, but I wasn't planning on buying this. Why the hell wasn't I careful? I could have seen from the pictures that some details were off a little bit, so it was clear it's a different model, but I saw USB. Never thought the 12 volt one is charged by Type-C USB. I was sure the 4 volt one has that charging system. Yeah. Or I could actually, maybe if it's small enough for what I need, I could deal with it and just use this one and not get the smaller one. Because that one could actually be quite puny, honestly. Yeah, we'll see in time. And this is a bad thing. Don't leave it staying on its attachment, on its bit. You will in time damage this. Do we have any plane here? There is a bit, but maybe the whole thing is actually has a bit of play. Okay, I guess sometimes if you are not careful you end up buying the wrong thing. I got too excited. It was just 20 euros, and as far as I know, normally they are a bit more expensive. Not a lot, just a tiny bit more expensive. And when I said I saw 20 euros, I was like, whoa, perfect. I will open it up and see what's the deal inside, why it's making a bit of noise, and yeah, probably just use it. And now this is the one that I want to replace with it. It's a bit faster, 30,000 RPM max, but I don't really use it on max speed like ever. So 25,000 that this one can give us is more than enough. And this goes slower than this at minimum. This will make more noise, so be ready for that, but this vibrates way more. So this is why it's annoying to me. And also all the time cables. In size, you can see we are improving a bit. It might be a bit thicker in the battery area. That's why I wanted the 4 volt, but obviously the 4 volt is weaker than this. So in some situations could create issues. The 4 volt might not be enough. So that's why maybe I will buy it as a second tool someday in the future, or maybe not, who knows. But yeah, it's still a size decrease. And as far as I can see, will the extension work on this one from this one? Let me see. I'm going to just insert it here to make sure it's the same thread at least, because if the thread is different, then zero chance of anything, obviously. That would suck if it were different. It's different. Oh damn, it's so close and yet so far. Or this is just too long? No, it's not too long. It's just about the thread not going in. No, it's a different thread. Let me see on this one what we have. And seems a different thread, doesn't it? Although, actually no. Seems identical. Why isn't this going? In theory it should be going, shouldn't it? Nope. It's just a tiny bit bigger. Do you see this? So it has the same step of the thread, but this just has a tiny bit bigger diameter. It occupies way too much space for what it actually holds. They wanted these things to be individually put into something. I couldn't care less about that. I'm going to find a tiny little box and put all of them in a single place. I can put them in my hand and get what I want. I'm not using this as much as it actually matters to see them all the time. Discs, as far as I can see, they are mostly all here. So I think this was used just a tiny bit. The felt for polishing is right here. So yeah, at the end of the day, it's quite good. We didn't lose basically anything. These little tiny cutters, really nice. But yeah, I wasn't planning on buying this one, so of course I got mad at myself and went and ordered the tiny little one. So there will be a video where I show both of these things together. There's also an older version of this, so this is PFBS 12C7. There's I think an B4 or A4 or even C6. They are a bit longer, and instead of these digital controls, they have just on off, and for the speed they have kind of rotating wheel like my other one, the gray one that I showed you has. But basically, as far as I saw online, there is somebody that's taking both models apart. I will link his video in the description. The motor itself is the same, batteries are the same, so that's just longer because it has a different way of controlling and that occupies some space. So yeah, good enough for this. For me, that it's shorter. There's a longer model also that basically is the professional one, which works with this type of batteries, also 12 volts. And that probably is about this long in total. But it's a bit beefier. But for what I need, just home use from time to time randomly, that was too big and doesn't make sense for me. And obviously I will show you the tinier one with a single cell inside and 4 volt operating voltage. So we have the screws removed at this point. Let's see how we can get this apart. Seems to be coming apart fairly nicely. And the sticker is the only thing holding it in place. But I think we can deal with that. Let me get it out of here so we can put it back later. Batteries, 1300 milliamp hour, PARKSIDE, so they don't tell us the real manufacturer. Yeah, anyway, so they are quite weak batteries. We could upgrade them at any point in time if we want, but do I feel the need? No, not really. You can see here spindle lock, just a pin that enters a hole through the main shaft, and there's one bearing right here, and obviously, oh, the motor is not with bearings, the motor is just a bushing, one on one end and one on the other. So yes, a second bearing, you can see it was prepared for a second bearing right here, sorry I wasn't showing you the proper place, would help a lot. Let me see if I have anything of this size. Be back in a second. Nope, I need to see exactly what's written on this little fellow and order a new one. And I start to see something 6072, something like that probably. I will look a bit better. And if you want to see the motor itself, here it is. Speedmaster 12 volts. I measured this guy and made sure it actually fits in here also, so it's the same size for both of them. Exterior 14 millimeters, interior hole 7 millimeters, and width 5 millimeters. Lifted battery from its place. I cannot really say I'm amazed about the craftsmanship of this assembly. So basically this seems to be a positive, and it's damn freaking close to that, and basically only the plastic, the blue insulation layer is keeping them apart. Here we have just loose ends. It's a bit how you doing. Honestly, in Einhell tools I see a bit better quality than this inside of them, a little bit more attention to details than in this, at least in this 12 volt PARKSIDE. In others I have no clue because I only have this lineup. So I lifted this a little bit and ripped that protection paper, and now I'm going to put it under what actually it needs to insulate. And now I'm happy with the situation, and I can put this little thing back on it, and nothing can happen in this area for sure. I will also check this one to make sure we don't have any risk. As you can see in that corner, I don't like what I see. Okay, solved this other end, and now I can put this back in place, and both are actually protected how they should have been from the start. And a bit of Kapton tape for good measure, so the insulation, and a little helper here, so the insulation cannot move out of its place and it will stay where I actually put it. So now I can put everything back in the case. Let's see how well this cuts before putting in that. This is a stronger disc, closer to angle grinders, so it doesn't break that easily, and I want to modify this and cut it all around. I don't use boxes for all the tools that I have, doesn't make sense too many boxes, so I want to have this as a storage for random things. I don't need all these plastic moldings, so I want to cut this all around. I don't know if this can handle that, but yeah, we'll find out right about now, won't we? If it cannot handle that, we have an issue, because it means it's extremely weak compared to the mains powered one. It can do it. That's great. Okay, I like the little guy. I think it's less powerful than the mains powered one for sure, but way more freaking convenient. On lower speed, I want to show you something, because this is driven directly without any sort of gearbox from the motor, it seems it does not really have that much torque. So it stalls out really easily. And I pressed this by mistake, so let me start it on again, so you don't think I cut it off by locking it. It enters protection mode. So yeah, way less torquey compared to the mains power one, sadly, but yeah, it is what it is. Still going strong, I can still use it, and on the highest power setting there's no chance with a disc even this size you can grind it to a halt. Let's test with the mains power one on the lowest power setting, speed setting actually. Can I stop it or not? Yeah, I can stop this one also, but it's on the absolute minimum. On this one you could see we were stopping it way easier. On higher, yeah, okay. So it seems also this one can be stopped. There's not such a huge difference. It's stronger, that's for sure, but not by so much as I first thought. Okay, I was able to do what I needed. It was a little bit stuck in here from manufacturing, ripped that apart. Yeah, tool is working just fine. It's a bit weaker than the mains counterpart. In some situation it gets locked, but yeah, nothing bad. And yeah, this disc is not one of the originals, so it has a bigger diameter, making it work a bit harder. 687Z. So this little guy should be able to go strictly directly onto this. Yes, they are not perfect fit on this shaft, so I could potentially make some marks on the shaft with something so they lock in place, but I don't know if that's actually needed or not, so probably I will just let it be as is. Why isn't the motor going back in its position now? That's weird. Okay, so it went back, but this one is not in place. And we have two bearings now. That's nice, isn't it? Okay, great. Yes, you could find a way to lock it on the shaft itself, also maybe put something between it and the case to lock it even better, but I don't think there's a need for that. And if you look at the marks made here by the locking pin, is this shaft actually brass? Sure does look like it, doesn't it? So yeah, maybe it was easier to insert the motor into brass. Also, what I want to do, just put a tiny bit of oil in there at the end of the motor, a tiny bit in there. And on the bearings, normally no, because they are sealed bearings. They should have their own grease. But these are just some bushings, although most likely they are the type that do have a bit of oil stuck inside the bushing itself. But I will, yeah, anyway, just put one little drop. Let's put this thing back together, and we had a surprise with the small tool. Because of the second bearing, exactly as I thought, it seems these are not aligned well enough, and by having this, it puts some pressure on the motor itself, and basically in lowest speed, that thing barely is able to rotate. So hopefully this one doesn't have the same issue, but for that one I might remove the second bearing. Let's see for this. But if you look at it, so I'm not really sure how I can show you to give you an impression. So this is not all the way in, you see, and it pulls on the motor. So it's either the motor fully in or this fully in. So this might have stopped them for putting this in, although they designed it like that, but the tolerances were just not good enough to have it in there. Did you see that mosquito on my finger? Annoying little bugger. And it's a tiger one, the bad type. No, on this one we have enough power to keep this going. So on this big one, adding a second bearing is not an issue. It's much steadier now. Let's plug it into the big boy and see what it's doing. And it's charging. Again, flickering will only show up on video. So maximum about 50 degrees somewhere in this area under the connector. 52 degrees actually. Okay. Quite hot also. And it's also in the PCB area, not the batteries. That one, the smaller one, reached 60 degrees. This is a bit lower, but still damn hot. 53 now. So yeah, leave it to charge now so we can test the RPM. So let's test the rotation speed of this one also. Again, keep in mind I added a bearing, so could be different from what you will get on your tool. Probably it's a bit less on mine, but in theory this is a sturdier tool at the moment. And let's start. I need to find a distance where it can actually properly read this thing, because it's fairly small. So about 2000 RPM. $3,700 on speed number 2, 5,900 on 3, more or less 9,400 on 4, almost 13,000 on 5, 16,500 on 6, and maximum 23,000 more or less. Yep, again, without the bearing that I added, probably you will get a tiny bit more out of yours, but I will use it like this. I put a bearing in this one also, and it heated up at first. Now it's not heating up anymore and it's working really well, so it will remain with the bearing. And now the tips from that one, I'll be moving to this one because I want to grind out these two battery compartments for this, because I bought this and from somebody 3D printed and they just don't fit properly. Did the first two with the small one, and I want to do the last two with this one and see which one of them was faster. Keep in mind, in here I cannot go full speed because this is a low melt temperature, and this one was kind of struggling because I needed to use it on second speed, but it doesn't have too much torque on second speed. Anything more, it would start to melt this. So I'm wondering how this will fare if it has a bit more torque in the lower speeds. In theory it should have a bit more torque, so again in theory it should work a tiny bit better, but we never know, do we, until we actually try. So yeah, I will not do it on video because it just fills up this in here. On the other one I kind of did a lot of it on video. On this one just the start will be on video. Let's see, on speed number 1, oh, this does not shut down. You can force it to shut down, but no, it keeps going. And on speed number 2, this is too much. So most likely on speed number 2 will be used, but I cannot stop it easily. The other one was stopping much easier. So this one is much better for harder jobs like this, where you need low speed but a lot of torque. This is the champ. So let me do this and get back to you. I'm going to do the ending for this video with them together. I finished the last two with this one. What I can say, obviously it has more torque at lower speed, so it was a bit easier to work on this plastic that has a low melting point. This does not heat up as much as this one. Heats up again in the motor area, but way less compared to the little guy. So this one is really pushing that motor to be able to do anything at 4 volts instead of 12 volts. So let's assume they were equally powerful. This would need to have, I'm just estimating, obviously, it's just a rough estimation, would have to have 3 times as much current going through it, because it's at a 3 times lower voltage compared to this one, and that heats up stuff. So you prefer to have higher voltage instead of more current, always in case of something like this, obviously. But then again, this thingy, not as nice to hold like this, and your hand will get tired. You will want to hold it like this more, and your hand again gets tired by working a lot on something like this. This one, no, because it's quite light, it's nice in the hand, but it gets so hot on jobs like this. On other smaller jobs it will not get as hot, and maybe yours will not get ever as hot because you didn't add a bearing. But with that in mind, this is spinning really easily now, so whatever it was doesn't count anymore. Anyway, I would add the bearings once again, honestly, in both of these if I were to do it all over again. Let's switch back the tips for these little fellows. So again, it seems this guy does not really like low speed that much, at least not with big tools. With smaller ones maybe doesn't have any issue with it. At higher speed this is also great, but it will still hit more than this one, which does make sense because again, higher current to do the same thing. Another thing that I'm estimating by what I'm seeing here, this guy will be happy to cut with big discs like this, which are actually even bigger when they are brand new. This one is a little bit used. This little guy will struggle with something like this. It's above what it can do. It will work with something like this, much smaller and obviously a bit thinner disc. So depending on what's your plan, this is not a one stop for all. If you just want one single tool for your house, get the bigger one. If you have more delicate jobs, then get the smaller one, but this will never be able to do the big jobs that this can do. This can do smaller jobs, it will just be a bit tiring on your hand. That's the difference. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Hope it helps you. In which case, please give it a like, check out my other videos, and as always, see you in the next one.